join in the singing of the national anthem, which will be led by Cantor Paul Glasser.
Yeshiva University Commencement that the invocation be given by the parents of a graduating student. This year, Rabbi David Stavsky of Columbus, Ohio, father of Joel Stavsky, a candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts from Yeshiva College, will deliver the invocation. Rabbi David Stavsky.
Adir B'Mahom, Shochem B'Gvurah, O thou who art mighty in the highest heavens, with prayers of thanksgiving on our lips, we ask for thy blessings upon those assembled at this, the 48th annual commencement exercises of Yeshiva University. For the parents who have selflessly trained, for the faculty who have patiently taught, for the graduates who have diligently studied, we ask thy divine blessings. Vouchsafe unto the graduating class of Yeshiva University of 1979 a spirit of hope and aspiration. Grant each of them a resolute determination to meet successfully, but with honor and dignity, the challenges of tomorrow. Grant unto them a philosophy of purpose in life to contribute to the betterment of society and to moral achievement of mankind. In the days of uncertainty, give them courage. Moments of doubt, may they not despair. Imbue in the hearts of the graduate a continuous fervor and a goal to have the royal reach for wisdom, for truth, and the spiritual wonders of Torah Judaism. Send thy blessings upon the beloved president of Yeshiva University, the officers, our special guests of honor, men and women of erudition and achievement, and upon the students, past, present, and future, so that Yeshiva University remain to be a great citadel of Torah and a never-failing fountain of wisdom and knowledge. May this be thy will. Amen.
Please be seated. To inform you that the 48th annual commencement exercises of Yeshiva University are now in session. The candidates for degrees will rise as the deans and directors present the various schools, and all will remain standing until the president has conferred the degrees upon them. The graduates of each school will be represented by a member of the class who will receive a symbolic diploma on their behalf. All undergraduate degrees will be conferred by the president with one proclamation. Degrees in course, the undergraduate schools. James Striar School of General Jewish Studies. Candidates will be presented by Rabbi Morris J. Besdin, the director. Will the candidates please rise?
That 29 students have completed a required course of study for the Associate in Arts degree in the James Striar School. These students, who have taken a comprehensive program of basic Jewish study, have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that this degree be awarded to them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Jerome Kaplan to represent the class.
For women, candidates will be presented by Rabbi Baruch N. Faivelson, the director.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you 15 students who have completed the required course of study for the Hebrew Teacher's Diploma, and 4 students who have completed the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education. I respectfully request that this diploma be awarded to them and that this degree be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Ms. Esther Nachamowitz to represent the class.
School of Hebraic Studies. Candidates will be presented by Dean Jacob M. Rabinowitz.
9 students have completed the requirements for the Hebraic Studies Diploma, 12 for a Hebrew Teacher's Diploma. 1 student has completed the requirements for a Bachelor of Science degree, and 3 for a Bachelor of Arts degree. Mr. President, the faculty of Erna Michael College has asked me to request that you award these diplomas and confer these degrees. I am pleased to call upon Mr. Philip Klapper to represent the class.
Stern College for Women. Candidates will be presented by Dean Karen Bacon.
Mr. President, I am pleased to present to you 107 women who have successfully completed the curriculum for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, 8 who have completed a course of study leading to a Jewish Studies certificate, and 1 who has earned a Hebrew Teacher's Diploma. On behalf of the faculty of Stern College, I respectfully request that you award these degrees and diplomas. I am pleased to call on Miss Naomi Miller to represent the class.
Yeshiva College. Dean Daniel Kurtzer will present the candidates.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you 208 students who have completed the required course of study for the degree of Bachelor of Arts at Yeshiva College. They have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that this degree be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Abraham Zev Golombeck to represent the class.
You have successfully and apparently enthusiastically completed the requirements for diplomas and degrees as prescribed by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences of the undergraduate schools of Yeshiva University. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby award you your diplomas and confer upon you the respective degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. As a token of this award, each dean and director will hand a diploma to the class representative.
All right, this is your first privilege, the tassel ceremony. Undergraduates receiving a bachelor's degree for the first time will now move the tassels on their caps from the right to left. Undergraduates may now be seated. The graduate school. Wurzweiler School of Social Work. Candidates will be presented by Dean Lloyd Setleis. Will the candidates please rise as you have?
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you here today 154 students who have completed the requisite course of study for the degree of Master of Social Work at Wurzweiler School of Social Work and 2 for the degree of Doctor of Social Welfare. I am also pleased to inform you that on Friday, July 20th, an additional 50 students will have qualified for the degree of Master of Social Work through the block education program. They have earned the approbation of the faculty. I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Abe Davis Wurzburger to represent the class.
Belfer Graduate School of Science. Candidates will be presented by Acting University Dean of the Natural Sciences and Mathematics, Dr. Karen Bacon.
Mr. President, I am happy to present to you 5 candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The faculty of Belfer Graduate School of Science respectfully request that you confer these degrees upon the candidates. I am pleased to call on Mr. Michael Schwartz to represent the class.
Ferkauf Graduate School. Candidates will be presented by Dean Morton Berger.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting to you a group of 158 students from the Ferkauf Graduate School who are candidates for the following degrees: 77 for the Master of Science degree, 13 for the Master of Arts degree, 22 for the Specialist Certificate, 8 for the Doctor of Education degree, and 38 for the Doctor of Philosophy degree. These candidates have completed all degree requirements and have been approved for the degrees by the faculty and the appropriate administrative officers of the Ferkauf Graduate School. In view of these facts, I respectfully request that you confer these degrees upon them. I am pleased to call upon Mr. Marvin J. Feldberg to represent the class.
The Albert Einstein College of Medicine will be represented by Dean Ephraim Friedman.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that 168 students have completed the required course of study for the degree of Doctor of Medicine at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. 18 have completed their studies leading to the Doctor of Philosophy degree at the Golden Graduate Division of Medical Sciences, and 37 have earned the certificate from the Belfer Institute for Advanced Biomedical Studies. The degrees were awarded at separate commencement exercises held yesterday, June 6th. Several representatives of the classes are present here. I respectfully request that on this occasion you confirm the action taken then.
Benjamin N. Cardoza, School of Law. Dean Monrad G. Paulson.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that 282 students have completed the required course of study for the degree of Doctor of Law at Benjamin N. Cardoza School of Law. The degrees will be awarded at separate commencement exercises to be held Sunday, June 10th. I am pleased to call on Mr. John March to represent the class.
Bernard Rebel Graduate School. Will the candidates rise? The candidates will be presented by Dean Sid Z. Lyman.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting 15 candidates for the degree of Master of Science at Bernard Rebel Graduate School. For the degree of Master of Arts, I present 3 candidates who have completed their course of study and have written master's projects. 7 students have completed their requirements for the Doctor of Philosophy degree and have successfully defended their dissertations. Mr. President, I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred. I am pleased to call on Mr. Samuel Schneider to represent the class.
You have successfully completed the requirements for degrees as prescribed. Right here. You have successfully completed the requirements for degrees as prescribed by the faculties of the graduate schools of Yeshiva University. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby confer upon you the respective degrees with all the rights, obligations, and privileges pertaining thereto. As a token of this award, each dean will hand a diploma to the class representative.
And now, another vestigial ceremony, the hooding ceremony. Will each degree recipient now place over his shoulders the hood representing the graduate degrees. Will the graduates now please be seated? Dr. Israel Miller.
At this time, it is customary to announce the changes which have taken place in the university family. To begin on a pleasant note, we extend our heartiest congratulations to all the newcomers who have joined us this year. We trust that this marks the beginning of a long and happy association with Yeshiva University, productive, satisfying, and fulfilling in every way. This June also marks the retirement of several beloved long-time employees of the university's undergraduate schools. In view of their dedicated services to the institution and to their students, we wish to take this opportunity to single out the following. Rabbi Baruch Faivelson, who is retiring as Director of Teachers Institute for Women, a position he has held since 1959. He will continue as a consultant for the coming year. Dr. Usher Ziv, who is retiring as full-time Professor of Hebrew, a position he has held at Erna Michael College of Hebraic Studies and Yeshiva College for 42 years. Dr. Ziv will be teaching next fall as a member of the adjunct faculty. I should like to make mention of the retirement of a campus personality who most of us know for her cookies, cholent, Viennese charm, and gracious hospitality. I salute you, Mrs. Fanny Weitzendorf. Three administrators will regrettably also be leaving us at the end of this academic year. Professor Monrad G. Paulson is leaving his positions as the first dean of the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law and vice president for legal education. Dean Paulson will be honored at Sunday's law school commencement exercises. Rabbi Abner H. Groff, dean of admissions, our herald, who will be leaving after a 15-year tenure at our institution. And Dr. Daniel Kurtzer, who served Dr. Kurtzer served for the past 2 years as Dean of Yeshiva College. Our fondest good wishes go with all of you in your new pursuits. We note with sadness the passing of the following members of the Yeshiva University family. Dr. Charles Angoff, Adjunct Professor of English at Stern College for Women. Professor Nathan Goldberg, a member of the Sociology Faculty of Yeshiva College and Bernard Revel Graduate School for 34 years. Mr. Joseph M. Mazer, a member of the YU Board of Trustees since 1947. Mrs. Stanley E. Stern, beloved wife of our Vice Chairman of the Board of Trustees. A special note of sadness is felt by all of us on this day as we remember Stephen A. Gladstein, a 19-year-old senior at Yeshiva College in the Yeshiva program, who met his death in a tragic and senseless act of violence last March. Were it not for this dreadful circumstance, he would be here among us, partaking of the pride and fulfillment of his commencement day. Let us pause for a moment of silence in memory of Steve and all of the others who could not be with us on this day. Tihiyana nishmotehem tzrurot v'tzror hachayim. Amen. On a happier note, we are pleased to acknowledge the following alumni anniversary being marked today. the class of 1954 of Yeshiva College, marking its 25th anniversary. We ask the representatives of this class to rise with the alumni leaders present to note this occasion. It is traditional at YU to salute the outstanding undergraduates at the senior dinner, which was held last evening. There, the 5 valedictorians and recipients of prizes were duly accorded their due by the undergraduate family. These honorees are listed in your program on page 39. I should like to ask the 5 valedictorians, Stephen Lynn Passer, James Striar School of General Jewish Studies, Hannah Faivelson, Teachers Institute for Women, Mark Jacob Kleinman, Erna Michael College of Hebraic Studies, Naomi Eve Miller, Stern College for Women, Aaron Eli Glack, Yeshiva College, to rise for our tribute. I would now request all graduating students who receive prizes, honors, and awards to rise as a body to receive our collective acknowledgement. I ask for a round of applause for these very special young men and women. I extend to them our sincere good wishes for continued success and fulfillment in their future endeavors. Last but not least, let us take a moment to pay special tribute to you present this morning, the parents who made all of this possible. I notice that the students are applauding. Let's all join in a round of applause for the parents. Please be seated. Thank you.
I now have the pleasure of announcing the Mordecai Ben David Award. The presentation will be made to Dr. Alvin I. Schiff by Dr. Leo Jung, Professor Emeritus of Ethics and Chairman of the Mordecai Ben David Award Committee.
In 1940, the sainted ambassador Enrico Garda, Mordecai Ben David, helped to overcome a critical problem faced by Yeshiva College. In his well-nigh global experience, he found only blessed America as uniquely benign friend of our folk, which welcomed to her shores the visitors of European persecution. At the request which he uttered again and again, the Mordecai Ben David Foundation was established, which is supposed to bestow an annual prize of $1,000 to be given to that graduate of Yeshiva or any other Jew who, in the opinion of the award committee, has contributed significantly to the promotion of Jewish courage, dignity, welfare, and especially to American patriotism.
In my capacity as chairman of the Mordechai Ben David Committee, it is a privilege to offer the 1939 award to Dr. Alvin Schiff, a most distinguished alumnus and professor of Yeshiva University. As head of the Board of Jewish Education of New York City, Dr. Schiff for decades has succeeded in instilling pride and joy in the hearts of countless teachers and students as their guide, philosopher, and friend. He has taught them Torah in Derech Eretz program, faith expressed in righteousness and compassion, concentration of the timeless tradition of our folk in the best of modern thought. It is a source of much pleasure to express warmest wishes for many years of Shalom Ubracha.
I am now pleased to turn to Dr. Leon Katz to confer the honorary degrees.
Mr. President, when I came to Yeshiva as a student, the respected scholar and rabbi who stands at your side was presented to us as president of the student organization of Yeshiva. Today I have the honor to present to you Dr. Leon Katz, former president of our rabbinic alumni as well, for the degree of Doctor of Divinity honoris causa.
Client and sibling of distinguished rabbis and scholars, you bear stamped upon your personality the seal of the scribe,
the motto and title of the magnum opus of the great Talmudist to whom you dedicated your finest scholarly endeavors, the Chassam Sofer. But more than scribe and scholar, you have also achieved loving acceptance in the minds and hearts of your congregants in Congregation Adas Israel in Passaic, New Jersey, where you faithfully served as a spiritual leader for over 40 years. It was especially your warm and friendly demeanor which endeared you to all the people who know you. During all this time, you have exercised leadership as well amongst your rabbinic colleagues as past president of the rabbinic alumni of Yeshiva. You have impressed your colleagues as well as your congregants with your warmth, integrity, and understanding, and you have been a source of encouragement and support to your alma mater as well. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Divinity honoris causa, and in token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Chief Rabbi David Moses Rosen.
4 years ago, Mr. President, I was privileged to accompany the revered and beloved Chief Rabbi of Romania on a spiritual journey through Settle and Metropolis from Dorachai to Bucharest. We are delighted that the journey has now brought him to Yeshiva, and I am privileged to present our friend, that illustrious Chief Rabbi David Moses Rosen, for the degree of Doctor of Divinity honoris causa.
Descended from a rabbinical family whose lineage stretches over a millennium, you have made your goals the preservation of religious freedom and the protection of your sacred heritage. Undisputed leader of the most vibrant Jewish community in Eastern Europe, you have not shirked responsibility, shunned controversy, or skirted onerous confrontation.
in carrying out your historic role as spiritual leader with consummate skill, admirable diplomacy, and unquestioned love and loyalty to your people. A man of many functions and diverse talents, diplomat and leader, homiletician and orator, shepherd and guide, scholar and administrator, you have marshaled your various abilities for the service of Romania and Romanian Jewry, both during the Holocaust and in the critical and excruciatingly difficult post-war period. You have refused to capitulate, whether to physical torture or to political pressure. Instead, you have ensured the aliyah of 300,000 Romanian Jews, the preservation of 3,500 forest groves, and the betterment of the lives of all your countrymen. We indeed salute you, sir. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of divinity honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Mr. Stanley E. Stern.
Generosity and leadership are the hallmarks of the Stern family. Mr. President, may I present an outstanding and generous leader of our people and our community, the youngest member of Yeshiva's Board of Trustees, Mr. Stanley E. Stern, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Son of one of our generation's greatest philanthropists, you have, despite your relative youth, already achieved your own enviable reputation as a great benefactor of some of the noblest and most significant causes of our time. You have applied to your communal endeavors the same skill, talent, and insight that have propelled you to success in your worldly endeavors. A man of humor, decisiveness, and sound intuition, you have been granted the gift of character and the character of one who knows how to grant gifts, an activity in which you were both assisted and inspired by your late, lovely, and much lamented wife, Marcia. It is with considerable pride that Yeshiva University bestows this honor upon one of its former students, for we dare to claim some part and influence in the formation of your values and perceptions. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
The Honorable Zvulun Hammer.
The gentleman at our side, Mr. President, has always been close to us. He addressed the students of Yeshiva University on his first visit to the United States as chairman of the youth movement of the National Religious Party of Israel. I now have the honor to present to you the Honorable Zvulun Hammer as the highly esteemed Minister of Education and Culture of Medinat Yisrael for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Kavod Sar HaChinuch Shel Medinat Yisrael. You have served your country in many capacities. As a military officer in both the Sinai Campaign and the Yom Kippur War, as a member of Parliament for over a decade, and as a leader of the Mafdal, the National Religious Party's youth movement. One of the youngest persons ever to hold a cabinet post in the state of Israel, you have transformed the Ministry of Education into a vibrant, relevant, effective instrument for the greater enlightenment of your countrymen. A man of strong principles and firmly held convictions, you have nonetheless demonstrated that you know the difference between principle and perfectionism, between excellence and excess, between zeal and zealotry. Having mastered the labyrinthian mazes of Israeli politics, you have learned to use them to achieve high goals of national significance, as you have transcended politics in the pursuits of statesmanship. Bearing the onerous and yet significant burden of education in the Jewish state, it is only right that you be recognized by a university which comprehends all education, but cherishes especially the transmission of and research into that great culture and tradition which we share. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Mr. President, students, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege for me to be honored by Yeshiva University, one of the foremost Torah institutions of the modern world. The courageous and imaginative efforts of Yeshiva University to integrate Torah with modern culture has made possible the growth of modern halachic Judaism. Future historians will undoubtedly say that the replanting of Torah in the New World was achieved to a great extent thanks to the contribution of Yeshiva University graduates. Your vision of cultural synthesis and your courage to be intellectually honest and open have not only saved the diaspora Jewry, but to even a greater extent have encouraged the people of Israel to believe in the possibility of integrating responsibility for a total modern technological society with a deep spiritual covenantal consciousness. The meaning of the state of Israel for contemporary Jewry has two dimensions. The return of our people to Israel bears witness to two important spiritual values. On the one hand, Israel expresses the Jewish people's willingness to build something new in history. Israel expresses our people's courage to break with a posture of passive acceptance of its historical fate. Israel symbolizes the spirit of freedom, novelty, and renewal. It signifies what America always cherished, a belief in the possibility of a new society and the emergence of a new man. One can say that the Zionist movement expresses the classical Jewish belief in Tshuva, the belief that man's past need not determine his future. To appreciate the powerful revolutionary significance of Israel, one should study Rambam's Igeret Teiman, the letter to the Jews of Yemen. The Rambam tried to sustain our people's hope in the midst of persecution. He tried to encourage Jews to retain their dignity in spite of abuse. His basic message was, develop the courage to wait. Israel, by contrast, symbolizes the courageous waiting, but rather historic beginnings, heroic initiative, forward-moving, assertive power of willful human action. On the other hand, at the same time, Israel symbolizes our people's love and devotion to their historical memories, the power of our grandparents' dream, the power of the prophetic promise, which captures the heart and soul of our people throughout history, and our return to the biblical promised land reflect and comprise compelling Jewish testimony to the power of Israel's spiritual history to claim the devotion and courage of modern men. The covenant of Abraham Avinu has received new impetus in the modern world by virtue of the rebirth of the state of Israel. Israel is a profound rejection of the modern tendency to rebel against the claims of the past. Israel restores a deep sense of history to human consciousness, memory and innovation, rootedness and novelty, or in other words, being totally claimed by the dreams of one's grandparents while feeling free and independent to create and to build something new is a great spiritual educational message which Israel proclaims to the world. I believe and my hope is that you graduates who have been trained to integrate freedom and Torah אל תקראי חרוץ אלא חירות שאין לך בן חורין אלא מי שעוסק בתורה. You graduates have been trained that freedom and expression of traditions through mitzvot must be joined together, will inspire the Jewish world to welcome with joy the challenge that Israel presents, both to Jews and to all men in the modern world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Dr. Cyril Dome.
Mr. President, the maxim Torah Umada uniquely represents Yeshiva University and the distinguished Clerk Maxwell Professor of Theoretical Physics at King's College, University of London. I am honored to present that professor and Torah scholar, Dr. Cyril Dom, for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Your life is rich with scientific and educational achievements. Acclaimed by your colleagues and beloved by your students as a brilliant physicist and teacher, you have gained an enviable reputation in your field. Many institutions have requested your presence, and some have been fortunate to receive you. We at Yeshiva University were proud to have you here as a visiting professor in the late 1960s. A scientist among scientists and a Talmudist among Talmudists. You have exemplified with skill and dignity the life of a man in whom two great cultures have met, coexisted, and interacted with marvelous results for both. In a country where there exists no analog of Yeshiva University, you have incorporated within your own personality the teaching of Torah Umada, the integration of natural science and the Jewish tradition. It is therefore my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma. Congratulations.
Dr. Arno A. Penzias.
"45 years ago, Mr. President, Yeshiva conferred its first honorary degree upon a Nobel laureate, Professor Albert Einstein. Today, we honor the most recent Nobel Prize recipient in physics, an inspired visionary too, and a faithful Jew. May I personally add, he was my former neighbor, a Shochen Tov in the Bronx. I am privileged, sir, to present Dr. Arno A. Penzias for the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. It is perhaps difficult for the average person really to comprehend your scientific achievements. But in documenting the Big Bang theory of the universe, you have ensured the continued exploration not only of the origins of time and of space and matter, but of the development of mankind. It is this that the Nobel Committee recognized in awarding you the 1978 Physics Prize, and this which we, as an institution of spiritual and academic learning, wish to recognize today. International eminence has not blunted your awareness of and concern for other people, particularly those of our less free brethren overseas. The Nobel Prize in Physics is not for you incongruous with the rewards of a noble spirit, the loyalty to a great and sacred tradition of a small but significant people. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma. Thank you.
The Honorable Lazarus Phillips.
Yeshiva boasts of almost 100 Canadian students, a number of whom will be graduated today. It is thus proper and fitting, Mr. President, that we now pay homage to a prominent Canadian leader and noted jurist. May I present the Honorable Senator Lazarus Phillips for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. You are the personification in many ways of a modern version of a Renaissance man. In your long and distinguished career, you have been a statesman, lawyer, financier, businessman, Judaic scholar, and art collector. In all these diverse fields, you have exhibited a remarkable ability to blend business acumen with compassion and wisdom. Your Canadian peers have cited you as one of the greatest senators Canada has ever known. You are a Queen's Counsel and were made an officer of the Order of the British Empire by King George VI in 1946. Yet you have found time and energy to devote much of your life to philanthropic and communal activities, especially in the areas of education and religion. Canada is honored to call you an outstanding son, but we in the United States are equally proud of you as a Jew and a humanitarian. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
The Honorable Peter W. Rodino, Jr.
A university boasts of many deans, and this morning we pay tribute to a special dean, the Dean of the New Jersey Congressional Delegation. Mr. President, May I present the Honorable Peter W. Rodino, Jr. for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. May I also interject, Mr. President, Congressman Rodino is today marking his birthday.
This is our plan.
There can be no finer tribute to his long and distinguished career than to bestow this honor on him today. Yeshiva University wishes you, as you have already heard, Mr. Congressman, a very happy birthday. In the more than 30 years that you have served in Congress, you have dealt with the problems of your constituents with rare sensitivity and honesty. Your entire career, sir, has been characterized by a sense of duty to uphold not only the civil rights of American citizens, but the freedom of all peoples. It has earned you the love of your constituents and the respect of your peers in Congress and in the legal profession. How different our country might be today if another man has been sitting as arbiter at the presidential impeachment hearing. Through your legal skills and political objectivity, through your probity, America survived this dismal period without loss of faith or faith. We honor your perseverance and your commitment to upholding the law, the Constitution, and thereby the legacy of our beloved country. May you never be diminished in spirit or strength to continue your admirable pursuits. It is my privilege and pleasure to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma. Good luck.
The commencement address will be delivered by Dr. Arno Penzias.
My former neighbor, is this one working? Or should I go? This one's better, okay? My former neighbor, Rabbi Miller, saved me a minor moment of embarrassment because later in this talk, I will be referring to one of the philosophers from one of the great cities of the diaspora, a place where our people, of course, have flourished and provided a great number of scientists and scholars. I speak, of course, of the city of Brooklyn. And I wouldn't have wanted to praise Brooklyn and not explain that I myself have only visited there occasionally. Although some of my friends do come from there. As an astronomer, and I like to think of myself as an astronomer instead of a physicist, people seem to have a better feeling about physicists now, but still, having suffered, as I suppose most of you have, through introductory science courses, the reaction which I used to get when at parties I said I was a physicist, which was something like, I had a cousin who took a physics course once, and then excusing themselves, has been somewhat improved by saying I was an astronomer. People seem a little more interested somehow, maybe because they haven't had to suffer through an introductory astronomy course, I don't know. But in thinking about the way of starting today's talk and seeing the very pleasant, cheerful spirit that exists here in the body, I thought of various kinds of ways of talking. What could I say to you? And I thought I might mention something a little far out. And that is, for an astronomer, it's very lucky that the Earth goes around the sun instead of the other way around. And the reason for that is that if we wait 6 months, we've moved about 200 million miles. That's not a very large distance from an astronomical scale, but it's a very significant one, because it allows us to look at each star in the sky from 2 different directions. That slight difference in angle is the same kind of focus that we use with our eyes, which allow us to see something clearly, to see how far away something is. And it seems to me that this class, these graduates here today, have that same kind of property and something that we really need to see things clearly. We have a great number of apparent realities confronting us, but to see them clearly, it seems to me that we have to look at them from more than one perspective. And I think it's especially significant and important that you can look at things not just from the modern scholastic secular perspective, but also to use a little Jewish seichel and look at it from a different perspective as well. To look from more than one direction, because the problems we have are problems which single solutions, no matter how screamed they are, don't seem to be working. Everybody seems to have a single answer to our shrinking pie. We look out, we see resources diminishing, we see inflation, we see all the kinds of problems that people know about. People have their elbows out. They have their elbows out poking one another in the rib, because each wedge of the pie, the piece of the pie that they are connected with, is shrinking as the pie shrinks. And they'd rather have somebody else's piece shrink. As things go on, and we outbid each other, attempt to outbid each other for the precious few mineral resources on our earth, we see what happens. People worry about high gasoline prices. We wonder where the additional material will come from, in a material which is alleged to have, according to the New York Times, a 10% elasticity. This means if the price doubles, we will use 10% less. And the reason for that, I think, is that the other people would like to use gasoline or petroleum as well. In 1974, when the Arabs quadrupled the price of oil, the way of making it stretch meant that in India, 1 million tons of fertilizer were not produced. Now, there are a lot of Indians, which means that each Indian had only 1/2 of one slice of bread less to eat every day. But that's what we do when we bid up our scarcer and diminishing resources. And what is the alternative? It seems to me there is only one, and that is a bigger pie, enough for everybody. But the mineral resources of the world, just like the land resources, are finite. They're even shrinking. At the same time, the third resource, and I might say the traditional Jewish resource, that of intelligence, of brains, of thinking, is a renewable one. One, in fact, which has the nice property that the more you use it, the more of it you have. Jews have always been forced to use their brains because of their lack of access to minerals and land. Now everybody is forced to do the same thing. There is, it seems to me, no stable alternative to a complicated society. People complain about complicated societies. They don't like having transistors and TV sets and cars and all these things in a negative sort of way. We don't like to have to use chemical fertilizers. Don't like power plants. But the alternative, if we go back to the Russia of the czars that is now attractively portrayed in the vodka ads, is slavery for 99% of the people. It seems to me that there is no easy set of answers. But in order, and this I think is important, in order to find answers, you have to believe that there are answers out there. This means a belief in a good world, an ordered world. If someone is to say that there is no answer, then their prophecy is self-fulfilling. It is only in the case where the prophecy provides for a positive result that there's even a chance. There is the old joke told about how do Jews spend the night before a flood, or how do various nationalities spend them. And they talk about some nationalities reading books or listening to music or making love. And the Jews, at the end of the punchline of this long, shaggy dog story is, the Jews are trying to learn how to live underwater. And it seems to me there's something to that. No matter how desperate the situation, if you believe in a good world, at least you look for the answer. You may not find it, but you're not free from the obligation of looking for that answer. It seems to me we need people in this society with that point of view. The fatalism that is expressed by a young man who was portrayed in a recent newspaper article, who lives in what he calls a self-sufficient farm in Massachusetts, a farm which grows strawberries, asparagus, and who manages to live on his anti-nuclear lectures. He still goes to town if he needs root canal work. He still goes to town for a drugstore for antibiotics. And even so, the people in South Boston don't have the money to go out and buy this farm. It seems to me that the only way is to take this down attitude and replace it with something else. To not believe that we have just the end of a fickle, mindless fate where we can do nothing. I'm speaking essentially about luck. The Jewish concept of luck, it seems to me, is expressed in the concept of the shlemazel. A shlemazel is an object of ridicule. He's a man or a woman, everything happens to the shlemazel, okay? But there is the implication, because we find it funny, that it's partly his fault. We don't take the attitude that there is no answers and there is nothing to do. And so it comes to me, when I speak of that great city of Brooklyn, and to quote one of its great philosophers on the subject of luck, I picked somebody from that city. And the man, it seems to me, who knew the most about luck was a man some of you, I guess, are too young to remember. A man named Branch Rickey, who used to own the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field. Well, Branch Rickey spent many years watching pitchers get sore arms. He watched baseball umpires make bad calls. He watched bad hops that were supposed to be an easy out. He watched luck year after year after year. And when he summed it up at the end of his career, he said, luck is the residuum of planning. And he wasn't even Jewish. That's not to say they're easy answers. Probably the question most people have on their mind, and the one that they ask the scientists the most, is a question of energy. We can't afford, I'm afraid, to act as if 3 Mile Island didn't happen. It's not possible for the power companies to sit on their safety records and assume that the only people that are questioning them are all like Jane Fonda. On the other hand, we cannot afford to follow the true believer. And I define a true believer as someone who knows the answer in advance and regards facts as things that are to be collected to persuade other people. He knows the answer in advance and only has to persuade others. Facts are for others. One set of facts. I had a boss at Bell Labs one time who was very smart. He said, as soon as people give me more than one reason for something, I begin to suspect it. If you've got more than one reason, you're probably doing something a little shaky. You ought to look at it again. And the thing that occurs to me about people who are against nuclear plants, and I don't mean everybody, that they have whatever goes to, they have another reason. Either it's waste disposal, or it's safety, or it's the profits they're making, or the evils of capitalism, or earthquakes, or the inspectors are crooked, or any one of the number. And the answer and the question and the problem keep coming up. So it seems to me that when someone has a large number of questions, that I too, like my old boss at Bell Labs, get suspicious. I have no easy, simple alternative, unfortunately. Now, through your minds are going the question, is this a pro-nuclear talk? There shouldn't be there shouldn't be a yes nukes or a no nukes talk. I think I would like to see, if people start buying t-shirts, there should be a third kind of t-shirt. And the t-shirt should say, safe nukes. We desperately need safe nuclear power. And we desperately have to figure out how to get it. I don't have another answer for you, and I am sorry about that. But then we ask, what has this got to do with the perspective? Well, we've got to have not just safe nuclear power, but a nuclear power program that people can believe in. And here, when I started talking, it's quite interesting. I started talking to my friends. I talked to rabbis about the question, what does it mean? And we got to questions of kashrut. What does it take to trust a kosher butcher? What does it take to trust somebody? Because, in fact, somebody has to trust someone else. I haven't got any simple answers, but they're not physics answers. We don't just have to put safe meters on and reliable meters on the plant. We have to make sure that people look at those meters and then believe the number when the number comes up to be different from their expectation. That's a social problem. It's an ethical problem. It's not a science problem. So science and ethics and social science have to work hand in hand to attempt to come up with a solution. I don't think it's too much to ask with the large numbers of inspectors that exist that a few of them make their homes right next to the power plants with their families. They're expecting other people to do it. I don't see why that couldn't be done. I'm not saying that that's I'm not saying, again, that that will solve a problem. But if you can't hire inspectors willing to live next to the plant, you probably can't afford to have one. Maybe there are a number of other possibilities. I don't know. All I can say is I believe in a good world. I don't want to believe today that black people have to continue to have a disease which is 3 times worse than cancer. We hear about this one paper cup full of radioactive iodine which was spread out among 2 million people. Enough radioactive iodine, ladies and gentlemen, that for a modest amount of money I would drink the entire amount. There were 40 picocuries of radioactive iodine given out to each of those 2 million people. A picocurie is a millionth of a microcurie. That adds up to 80 microcuries, which is what you would get from a local doctor if you wanted to diagnose a goiter. All 2 million doses together. Not to say there isn't a serious problem, but we talk about cancer and we forget the fact that if we solved cancer in America today, everyone would live 2 years longer. Black people live 6 years less than white people. The disease of poverty kills people. I am sorry, there has to be more of a balance. We have to speak of ethics. We have to speak of a whole society. And this is what I mean by the second point of view. This is what I mean when we look at something beyond the words of elasticity of demand. The people who attack the present situation also and attack technology at the same time, it seems to me, and this is the embarrassing part. On the one hand, we're regarded as evil conspirators, but on the other hand, we scientists are looked at as being all-powerful. Partly it's our own fault. It's too easy to look very smart, very powerful, having all the answers, to oversell yourself. And I'm afraid we scientists have oversold ourselves. People expect breakthroughs, one after another. And so we sit here in solar energy. We see it, and we see ourselves heated, and we say, well, simple. All you have to do is convert that instead. I'm sorry, folks. It doesn't work. Very simply, we have a sunny day today. We've had about 4 weeks of rain. If somebody gave you a solar system for your house for nothing, you would have a basement full of very large batteries, each one of which, about this size, would give you 1 kilowatt hour, the size of a car battery. And a typical house or apartment might want plenty of these a day. Now, how many weeks are you willing to go without rainy weather are you willing to count on? Multiply that by the number of car batteries. Take the number of months that you figure a car battery can last, divide that into this number, and then see how many car batteries a month you would be buying. The batteries have to be bought with money, which makes them expensive. They have to be built in factories which use things like lead, which are dirty. And then living above a basement full of batteries which have acid in them, which explode when they're shorted, makes it dangerous. And so we have a system which is expensive, dirty, and dangerous, which has been given to us or advertised as being cheap, safe, and whatever. Right? Has all the properties of the world. It's clean, if nothing else. It's just there, renewable, no problems except you have to go change the batteries every couple of weeks. I bring this up as an example because I personally come at this from a hardware point of view, from a science point of view. But that point of view is only one part of the whole story. We have to provide the other side. We have to have people who are willing to come into our system and plan their futures in such a way as to be prepared to take part in solving the problems that we have. One of the nice things about our system, and as a refugee, as a member of a family that spent its early years in America in poverty, I'm an example of a person who has benefited a great deal from one of the really neat things about the American system, and that is it helps those who help it. It stands to reward those who help the system. And so it is, it seems to me, that we have the common interest of helping ourselves while we're helping society. If an opening comes up, do you have the training to take it? The drive to work hard, to do whatever it takes to make an individual difference. Because no matter how big the organization, no matter how big the problem, the idea ultimately comes from a single individual. Are you willing to risk the disappointment that it comes from admitting that you'd really like to try? The lack of a commodity, it seems to me, whatever the commodity, is an opportunity for replacement. Thinking, as I said before, is a growing and renewable resource. That's not to say the answer is going to come easily or the answer is even there. All I'm asking for, and I'll go back to Branch Rickey, all I can ask for is to play the odds. Branch Rickey said that the battle is not always to the strong, nor the race to the swift, but that's the way to bet. Let's do our part. Thank you.
The benediction will be delivered by Rabbi Stavsky. Will the audience please rise?
Ribbon Ha'olamim, Creator of the universe, with gladness in our hearts, for we have achieved this day. You have kept us in life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this day. We ask for thy continued blessings upon these thy children, men and women of letters, the graduating class of Yeshiva University of 1979. As they leave the corridors of the university and enter the challenging chambers of the universe, grant them Bina, Lavin, Lishmoa, Lilmod Ulamed, wisdom to understand, to comprehend, to learn, and to teach, to heed and to fulfill, in love, all the words of thy sacred instructions. May they continue to broaden and deepen their knowledge and scholarship. May they help to unlock the deep mysteries of health and science for a better universe. May they forever be the disciples of the sages who will increase peace throughout the world. May they be the sons and daughters who are rightfully called the builders and architects of an everlasting shalom, peace for humanity. May this be thy will as it is ours. Amen.
Remain standing for the singing of Hatikva, and please join in the singing.
I
commencement exercises have been concluded. The marshals and student representatives will now rejoin their groups for the recessional.
Will the audience please remain seated for the recessional as the participants leave the commencement area. Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to a reception which will be held in the Belfer Commons immediately following these exercises. Please keep the aisles clear. The President, Chairman, Vice Chairman of the Board of Trustees, board members, and honorary degree recipients are now leaving the commencement platform. They are being joined by administration and faculty. Once again, we ask that you keep the aisles clear and let us hear another round of applause and congratulations for our students who have just received their degrees. those aisles clear so that the graduates can leave. That's the idea of graduation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming.